Hi guys, so first of all, ignore my eyeshadow. I'm doing another video and I wouldn't usually have very dramatic eyeshadow on before putting on my foundation because that's not the way I roll. I always do foundation first, so to me this looks really bizarre. But yeah, ignore that, it'll be fine in the end. Today we're going to talk about this foundation. It's the Revlon Photo Ready Insta-Filter. I'd never heard of this before, but I saw it on Amazon, where apparently Revlon sell things for cheaper. So I don't know if you know this, but different places sell things for different prices. So like supermarkets, Savers, Superdrug, Boots, they'll all have different price points. Not just because of sales, they just do have different price points. And so apparently Amazon, because Revlon have an official Amazon store, are one of these places. I'm not sponsored by Amazon. If they want to sponsor me, that'd be great. But I did just discover this by myself. And I wanted to put your mind at ease for those of you that feel funny buying makeup on Amazon. Some of it is just like direct from the seller. It's not a big deal. So that's where I bought this, and I got it in buff. I couldn't swatch it obviously because it was online, but my favourite colour stay, which I say favourite, used to be my favourite, don't love the new formula. My previous favourite colour stay was always buff when I got that one, so that's why I purchased that colour. And the reviews, I read a few reviews on various sites before I picked it up, and the reviews said, the ones that were positive, said you really need to kind of work in this sponge before you get like a really great result with it. And I'm not sure whether or not that was because the people were using the sponge to apply it with, as in like actually blend it out with, or like in order to get enough product. But what I'm going to do now is twist and twist and twist and really kind of work in the sponge like on my hand and see how much product we can get pumping out of here. This is unusual. So as I twist the bottom, let me get my face out of this so it'll actually focus. As I twist the bottom, it like literally pours out of the top. That is the weirdest thing ever. And I can see where people are coming from. Like, you're not getting a lot of product there. I do think, woo, it's weird. It's like randomly shooting out of the end. This is semi-pornographic at this point. Okay, I might just directly put this onto my face because I'm getting so little of it out. But I do want to just let you know that is what I had read. I know that some people are going to be like screaming at the screen right now because they feel really weird about sponges, but this is the first time I've used it, and also I don't like it. I am 100% not using that sponge to apply it with, and so I'm just going to quickly. It seems like quite a dry foundation. Like, I was kind of thinking I'd put it all over and then I'll like blend it all out, but I'm thinking this is not going to be that kind of foundation because it doesn't really seem like it will work that way. Like, it's going to set too quickly. My usual thing with this kind of review is, it is weird, I have to say. My usual thing with this kind of review is I will do half of my face with a sponge and half with a brush. But I feel like that might not work because it's like going to settle too quickly to do that. You're going to end up with an actual divided line down the side of your face. I wonder if I could get this like directly onto my brush. I got to agree with the women who were giving this a bad review because of the, come on, packaging. It's not very user-friendly. Right, I have a little bit left on my hand and I'm going to attempt to layer this up a little bit and just blend it a little bit nicer because I don't think it's going on very nicely with the brush. I mean, everything works nicer with the blender, but I think the brush is kind of smearing it around a little bit. It's really exaggerating pores. I'm hopeful we can make it work a little bit better with this. It set, dried, whatever you want to call it, really, really quickly. I'm going to zoom in anymore. You can kind of see here where it's settling into my pores. You can see around my nose, it's settling into dryness. I wonder if I can just try to blend that out a little bit more. There's some kind of texture I've got down here from hair removal that I didn't even know I had. And now I have this on, it's kind of created that mottled, it's really exaggerated that texture that I didn't even know I had. So that's not great. Kind of falling into some lines on my head that I don't usually have a problem with. which is weird. So what I'm going to do is leave it to set for maybe like 5 minutes. It's worth bearing in mind as well that I am wearing a hydrating primer underneath this. I put on the Professional Hydrate Primer. This was sent to me about 5 minutes before I turned on the camera. So it's not, you know, I had prepped my skin. I'd used a toner and a moisturiser and then a hydrating primer. And so although my skin is not the best in the world, it's not usually that dry. So I have oily skin is what I'm very roundabout way of saying. I don't have dry skin. That's not my skin type. And so unusual for this to be a problem for me. Really, I think the worst area is here. This whole area, I'm not enjoying the way it looks. I think it's going to separate and not look very attractive quite quickly. So I'm going to give it 5 minutes and then I'm going to go back and just kind of go over like some of the areas where I think it's settled and just see if I can blend those out a little bit before I do anything else. Okay. It doesn't look bad, but to me it looks heavy. And that's possibly, at least in part, because in fact, let me just see if I can turn on this light in front of me, see if this will... Does that help see anything, or does it make it worse? I don't know. It's in part the fact that I do prefer a sheerer coverage, so bear that in mind, but it does look very heavy on me. I can see where it's settled in various places. Now, historically, when I've worn things like this, sometimes it will end up being nicer a couple of hours in because I am oily. And so I'm not going to powder it. I'm feeling like it doesn't need powder. I'm just going to put on my blush and my highlight and all of that jazz. I'll take some pictures and we'll see. Right, I'm all made up. It doesn't look bad. I'm going to just quickly, I don't know if this is a cheat, but I am just going to quickly use my setting spray, which is Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I actually was watching an IGTV the other day of this lady that I follow. She's fantastic. Oh God, I wish I could remember her name. She's in her 70s and she started modelling in her late 60s and she's just the most glamorous woman in the world. You've probably seen her. Anyway, this makeup artist was doing her makeup. And obviously on mature skin, a lot of makeup can be a lot. And I was waiting desperately to find out because I was absolutely convinced he was going to use this setting spray at the end. And he did, because it's just magic. It just can make something that looks heavy just melt into your skin and look beautiful. So we are going to give it some like magical Morphe setting mist love. And hopefully that will do something. I don't think it does a tremendous amount in terms of longevity and like helping your makeup stay on. But I do think that if you struggle with particularly dry skin or foundations looking less than great, it can really make all the difference. So I'm popping that on, which like I say is a bit of a cheat, but hey ho. But also in the interest of Project Pan, when I'm testing out these products now, I really do want to find a way to make them work because I don't want to be picking something up to review it for you guys and then be like, that didn't work, bin it off. By which I mean it goes in my like tub of things to take into work and see who wants what. But I want to find a way of making things work. And I think that some of you will already have this. Some of you will be watching videos like, how am I supposed to apply this? And so hopefully that will be useful for you. So I'm going to come back in a few hours. I think I'm probably going to do 5 hours on this one, purely because of the time that I've got today. But I think that should give us enough time to really see how this wears, whether or not it does separate, whether or not it does look better over time, and whether or not the Morphe setting mist can save it. We're 4 hours in. I mean, it's so much better than it was this morning. I did kind of think maybe this would happen. I'm not seeing anything terrible. No major separating. All of this looks better than before. It's magic. This happens quite frequently for me, being oily. Whenever I put something on and I'm like, this makes no sense. It shouldn't be dry. I am not dry. It doesn't make any sense. And later on it looks better. So we'll see. I have kind of lost a little bit around here, but I'm very sniffly today. So I wouldn't say that that's the fault of the foundation, but 4 hours. What I've decided is, let me zoom you out. You don't need to super extreme close up on my face for this. What I've decided is what I'm going to do is, this is what I'm going to do. I am getting on a train in about an hour. It's very rainy outside. This is why I wanted to do like a shorter one today. It's very rainy outside. I've got to get a train for around 2 hours to Birmingham. I'm going to go meet Emma. I think when we get to Birmingham, I'm going to give you like a little, on my phone,
here's what my face looks like. We'll check in. Then, this evening, before I go back out again, I'm going to check in again and we'll see if it's okay to stay on my face for the event that we're going to this evening. I wasn't going to extend it because I really, truly thought by the time I was going to be leaving for the train station, I was going to want to take this off my face and start over. But I kind of like it.
The lighting is not ideal. It's literally an orange light in this hotel. But I did just have to kind of I haven't put any product on, but like kind of just reblend the stuff underneath my eyes and around here. Let me see. Okay, right in front of the window, but it is getting dark. All around here, it was like really quite crepey looking. And this eyeshadow here had like blurred. Whole move down here, which was not cute. But the bulk of my foundation still looks pretty good, and it has been nearly 8 hours. I mean, we might eat our words about, well, my words about my initial thoughts were, this is not going to be great, and it's turning out to be quite nice. So I'm not going to redo my makeup, and if I can remember, I'll do a final check-in tonight and just show you what it is like right at the very, very end. Because I won't remember later, I'm going to just give you a little rundown of what this actually claims to do. It says, get selfie ready, fresh face, natural finish, lightweight formula with built-in blender. 100% not a built-in blender. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I think that the applicator is the thing that lets it down the most, because how it comes out of the bottle is like, it just makes it all seem like it's going to be terrible. And if I hadn't blended it out with a beauty blender afterwards, I would have like sacked it off and just thought, this is a terrible product. So I really think that's laying it down. Our newest Flawless Finish foundation with a unique built-in blender makes it easy to blend in foundation. No, it doesn't. Our innovative formula works with your skin type to even and smooth skin tone, which it turns out it does later. Medium buildable coverage, all-day wear, high-definition filter technology captures and transforms any light to blur and soften flaws, leaving the perfect app-filtered look. Now, I think just because I know later on I'm not gonna have like the wherewithal to kind of round this up, I do think that this is just a foundation that doesn't look that great straight away. An hour in, it's going to look 10 times better. I do think that a lot of what it's saying, a lot of these claims, it is actually living up to. I think that the biggest letdown is the weird beauty blender thing they've attached to it, and just probably the idea of it being all-day wear. It can't be perfect straight away because then there's nowhere to go but down. And I think a lot of these products, as I said earlier, do tend to improve if you've got oily skin. So like I say, I'll be back for a final conclusion to see really how all-day wear it is. But this has been a strange kind of review, not my usual format, and hopefully it's still been useful.
Oh, how well I know myself, because this girl was not going to remember to finish a foundation review when she got home. I have done that in the past, in fairness. Not always the best part of the review, usually the worst, but still. I think I kind of summed up what I thought, but I do want to talk about the packaging a little bit. The sponge applicator really was letting it down, and so I thought, since that was the worst part of it, I would pull the sponge tip off and see what happened. Now, it is attached. You can't put this back on again easily once you've removed it. Yeah, I ripped it off. But I really wanted to see how easy it would be to get the product out. And I think you do have to tip it upside down, otherwise it's going to be super messy. But you can twist it this way, get the product out. You get so much more product, and it's so much easier to work with this way. I just don't understand why they used the sponge. It was really poor. But I think this is a solution.